17 months after Aizen is defeated and locked up, we pick back up with Ichigo, who's in his final year of high school. He has no powers whatsoever. He can't even see spirits anymore. Katakura Town is mostly being protected by Imoyama and Master Urahara, with Uru to help out from time to time. Ichigo is mostly just concerned with normal life stuff, like taking part in school activities, working odd jobs, and figuring out what he's going to do in life after high school ends. And of course, he still thinks about all the things that happened when he first met Ruki and became a Soul Reaper. But over the last year, he's been pretty normal. He is a bit conflicted knowing there's always going to be hollows and he can no longer see or effectively fight them, but all the fighting and training Ichigo underwent in the past was mostly just to protect his friends and family, and seeing as how his friends and family are now more powerful than ever, there isn't much to worry about. So what's the big deal? Well, there's some new folks in town, a group of people that call themselves Execution. There's Ginjo, Giriko, Jackie, Riruka, and Yukio. They're all Fullbrings. Now, Fullbring is the most unnecessary and pointless addition to the Bleach magic system yet. And it's a bit odd that Kubo even decided to add new powers to the universe this late in the game, but apparently, literally everything has a soul.
Every object in this world has a soul, not just animals and plants. Sure, its soul might be small, but a telephone pole, a chair, even a pen. Anything you can think of, no matter how lifeless it may seem, possesses some kind of a soul. Our special ability is to draw out the soul in any object and to put that object to use.
Also, not just anybody can use Fullbring. It has to be someone whose mother was attacked by a hollow before they were born. How these guys knew Ichigo could use Fullbring is beyond me. But they claim to want to help Ichigo get his powers back so they can all give him their Fullbring powers and be ordinary human beings again. That's right, Ichigo can get his powers back. Through the use and mastery of Fullbring, his soul powers will reawaken, since apparently he never actually lost them. Yep, what happened with the Don guy and Mugetsu at the end of the Arrancar saga was absolute bullshit. Everything Kisuke said about Ichigo losing his powers was absolute bullshit. And everything Zangetsu said about the final Getsuga Tensho and why he didn't want to teach it to Ichigo was absolute bullshit. Ichigo never lost all his Soul Reaper powers. He just lost most of it, and the rest of it went dormant inside him, undermining and basically negating the entire climax of the Arrancar saga. Boy, we're off to a great start, aren't we? Ichigo at first didn't really care much for getting his powers back. Despite how much he misses being a Soul Reaper, he basically put all that stuff behind him. As I said before, he's only really concerned about his loved ones. And if they're safe or can protect themselves, it doesn't really matter if he has powers or not. Problem is, they're not safe. In episode 344, Kujo Ginjo shows up to Ichigo's workplace, saying he wants information on Isshin Kurosaki, Ichigo's father. He asks Ichigo if he knows his dad as well as he thinks he does, and even asks the same about Kisuke. This initially spooks Ichigo a bit, but he brushes it off and doesn't even bother himself with wondering how Ginjo knows all this information about him, his friends, and his family. That same night, Uru pursues a mysterious man and gets cut down by him. This mysterious man later tries to kill Ichigo's classmates and sends a hollow to attack Ichigo and his sister. Ichigo becomes extremely frustrated by all these strange events. He feels powerless, useless, and decides he needs to get his powers back to help protect the people he cares about. So what does he do? Who does he turn to? Kujo Ginjo. I suppose this is as good a time as any to talk about the Fullbring arc from a wider perspective. It's awful. God awful. I'd say it's definitely the worst canonical arc in Bleach, and it has me seriously worried about the Blood War. Kubo is at its very worst, and all the problems I had with the previous arcs are here, and magnified. What's worse is that it all happens so fast. The Fullbring arc is fairly short, but somehow Kubo fits all the worst aspects of his writing into just 24 episodes. He forgets or just doesn't care about previously established characters, relationships, and abilities, which means the characters in-universe also forgets these things, which in turn makes them look stupid. And again, we have villains that are incredibly moronic. Ever since Ichigo met Ginjo, all these weird things have been happening to his friends and family. Keep in mind, everything was pretty much fine for over a year and everyone's been safe, but suddenly Uru gets attacked and hospitalized. Ichigo's regular human friends get attacked and narrowly survives, and Ichigo himself gets jumped by a hollow, presumably the first one he's encountered since he lost his powers. And Ichigo, our main boy, our scholar, our valedictorian, seeks out Ginjo and Execution for help with getting his powers back and protecting his friends, instead of Kisuke Urahara, the single most knowledgeable person Ichigo knows. Ichigo trusts a random guy he just met more than Kisuke, which if anyone knows how to get Ichigo's powers back, it would be Master Urahara. He doesn't even ask Kisuke to help keep an eye on his friends and monitor the situation. Matter of fact, Ichigo and Kisuke have zero interactions the entire arc, and the only scene Ichigo has with his dad is in the first episode. Both Isshin and Kisuke are pretty much non-existent for the entire arc. It's all just nonsense. catastrophic nonsense. Kubo writing that Ichigo would trust Ginjo more than the people he's been with, more than Kisuke. I mean, sure, I've spoken ill of Kisuke plenty in the past, but this reaction from Ichigo is verging on character assassination. I honestly couldn't believe it. And it gets worse. While Ichigo is training with execution, his friends continue to be attacked because no one else is monitoring Karakura Town. Not the Soul Reaper who's actually stationed there, not Kisuke, not Yoruichi, not the Serite, not Ishin, not Rukia, or anyone else you think would be concerned about Ichigo and his friends' well-being. No one even noticed when Tsukishima, the mysterious man, attacked the Fullbring base and fights Ichigo, Chad, and Ginjo. Yep, just like that, we're back to square one, where powerful characters fight and no one else with spiritual perception abilities notices or cares. Okay. In episode 350, after Ichigo finishes Fullbring training for the day, he goes home to see his dad standing out front waiting for Kisuke, and Ichigo actually hides from them. He contemplates if Kisuke is his enemy and decides before he confronts Kisuke, he needs to fully regain his powers, and this was it for me. This was rock bottom. Ichigo hiding from his own father and Kisuke because of what some random stranger said to him, instead of seeking the help and guidance of the two most powerful people in Karakura Town, one of whom is his father. He does this after he's informed about who Tsukishima is, and I'm pretty sure Ishin and Kisuke knew he was hiding there, but they didn't approach him. And about the Tsukishima guy, his special ability is to insert himself into the memories of the people he cuts, making it seem as if he was a longtime friend or relative. It's not something that usually happens all at once, it's more of a gradual effect that gets worse over time. Orihime was the first to be cut, and at no point did she ever think to use her fairies to reverse Tsukishima's memory tampering. I suspect part of the reason for this is because Kubo legitimately forgot Orihime could even do that. Orihime tells Uryu and Chad about her encounter with Tsukishima, and over the course of the entire arc, Tsukishima continues to attack and cut almost everyone Ichigo knows. Before Ichigo even joins execution, he had already attacked his classmates. He eventually gets Chad, and he was able to just stroll into Ichigo's home and cut his sisters. Again, this all happened while Ishin, Kisuke, and Rukia were all aware of the situation. But while they're all screwing around, Ichigo has a full-on panic attack. In episode 358, Ichigo gets home from training and Tsukishima is just chilling with his sisters. Tsukishima invites Ichigo's friends over, and of course it all seems like everyone knows and loves him. This freaks Ichigo the hell out and he runs away. He gets picked up by his boss, but even she's been cut by Tsukishima's Fullbring. So at this point, Ichigo's just running through the streets completely terrified and on the verge of having a stroke when Kisuke finds him. Nah, I'm just kidding, it was Ishin. Nope, that would also make sense. It's Ginjo. Ginjo finds him. He tells Ichigo that the rest of execution's been cut and has had their memories tampered with, so they decide the best way to possibly undo the effects of Tsukishima's Fullbring is to kill him. They go to his mansion and start scrapping. Ginjo gets cut by Tsukishima trying to protect Ichigo when Uryu arrives, and here we have our first big twist. Uryu tells Ichigo to move out of the way because the man who attacked him was Ginjo. Uryu suddenly remembers that there were two people that night when he was attacked, Tsukishima, who he was following, and Ginjo, who attacked him. That damn amnesia, it'll get you every time. Tsukishima wanted to cut Uryu that night, but Ginjo said, and I nearly had a stroke just like Ichigo when he said this. He said, it won't be any fun if the game is fixed so they can't lose. So instead of cutting Uryu while he lied there, he tells Tsukishima to cut him instead and insert himself into his memory as an enemy. Tsukishima then went and did the same with all the other members of execution. Once Tsukishima cuts people for the second time, they simply return back to normal. So what's normal for the execution guys? Well, they're bad guys. And they just wanted to help Ichigo get powers again so they can take it for themselves. I have absolutely no idea why after Ichigo joins execution, Tsukishima continues to pursue and attack his friends and family. Or why he would even attack execution's base, but fortunately for him, the Soul Society, Kisuke, Ishin, and Yoruichi never intervenes. Now, with Ginjo back to normal, he stabs Ichigo and takes his powers. I don't know how running Ichigo through with this giant Fullbring didn't kill him, but whatever. As Ichigo's yelling at Ginjo to give his powers back, Ishin, Kisuke, and Rukia finally show up. Yay! Took them long enough. Rukia stabs Ichigo with a special sword Kisuke made that gives Ichigo Soul Reaper powers again, and a couple of old friends show up too. Byakuya, Kenpachi, Hitsugaya, Renji, and Ikaku are going to help deal with execution, and here we get the only fight this entire arc that was pretty good, which is Ginjo versus Ichigo, specifically the second part of their fight and after they both use Bankai. I'm not going to get too much into this, but all of the fights this season were incredibly boring, uninspired, and tired. It's not that Bleach never had mid-fights before, but most of them this season were particularly bland. But back to the Soul Reapers and execution. Kenpachi kills Giriko, Jackie blows herself up, Toshiro captures Yukio, Riruka hides, and Tsukishima gets a hole blown into his chest by Byakuya. And Mo isn't worth mentioning. While Ginjo and Ichigo are fighting in the PSP dimension, the second big twist gets revealed. And it's that the Soul Society, Jushiro specifically, hands out substitute Soul Reaper badges to people, not only so they can transform into a Soul Reaper, but also to monitor and control them. And this reveal gets kind of played up as this sort of huge revelation, which is just silly. This scene actually made me laugh a little.
Are you saying there's another reason they hand out combat passes?
Yeah. Their real purpose is surveillance and control. Thanks to the Combat Pass, the Soul Society is able to keep constant tabs on your whereabouts. It also allows them to control your spirit energy, at least whenever you have the pass on you. The Combat Pass is a device that communicates with the Soul Society, absorbing your spirit energy, then analyzing and controlling it. It was given to you so that they could keep you under their eye and under their thumb.
The reason why this is so ridiculous is because there's nothing odd or bad about any of this. It makes perfect sense for the Soul Reapers to want to keep Ichigo in line. For starters, he's an absurdly powerful Soul Reaper, more powerful than most captains, even though he was only 15. Second, out of everyone in the show, Ichigo has the least control of himself and his powers. This gets brought up in every canonical arc of the show.
How do I do that?
You mean to tell me you don't know? What's been your method for battling with the Hollows all this time?
I never did really understand that stuff. I figured my spirit energy was pretty much always at its maximum level. Like this? Can someone show me how to concentrate my spirit energy?
He's the substitute Soul Reaper I was telling you about earlier, and he can't use spirit energy at all.
Damn it. Hirako!
Those who have spiritual pressure like you possess need to learn how to stay calm.
Who the hell are you? Hirako! Answer me!
I explained it. You're the one to blame. It's all because you were releasing your spiritual pressure.
And third, in case you forgot, he's also a Hollow, possibly the single most powerful Hollow in all of Bleach. So I don't know why Kubo is playing this as if something is wrong, and as if Jushiro giving Ichigo a badge that did all this stuff was bad in any way, shape, or form, even if Ichigo didn't know. Oh, and why is Ichigo even humoring anything Ginjo has to say? He's lied the entire arc. Almost everything he said and done was false. So I don't even know why Ichigo would even care about anything he has to say at this point, but after they talk, he uses his Bankai and breaks the dimension. Like I said, this is a pretty good fight, and Ichigo surprisingly kills Ginjo. It gets revealed through Ginjo's inner monologue that he was stealing people's powers because he wanted revenge against some Soul Reapers who betrayed him. Again, this is an inner monologue. Ichigo has no clue about any of this, so he just continues to fight and eventually kills Ginjo. I don't know how Ginjo knew so much about Ichigo, or why he would even choose someone he would have to train and help get powers to then take them away. Sure, Ichigo had dormant power even though he definitely shouldn't. And Zangetsu was extremely powerful, but he should be gone now. Why would Execution even bother trying to help Ichigo get powers when they could have just gone for Ishin or Kisuke? And why in the world did Ginjo think Tsukishima using his Fullbring on Uryu would make it so they couldn't lose, when he knows he has to persuade Ichigo to join Execution, train him to use Fullbring to awaken his Soul Reaper powers, and steal said powers right under the noses of Captain level Soul Reapers? Honestly, Uryu really didn't matter that much. Anyway, Execution is mostly dead now. Some of them ran away and Ichigo has Soul Reaper powers again. And I got a real bad feeling this whole Fullbring stuff is never going to get mentioned or used again. It'll be as if it never even happened. Wow. I don't know what kind of state Kubo was in when he wrote the Fullbring arc or what he might have been going through, but this arc in particular feels as if he really didn't give a shit. I saw a Totally Not Mark video where I think he explains why the Fullbring arc is the best arc in Bleach. I didn't watch the video because of spoilers, but for a while before I rewatched the Fullbring arc myself, I wondered if I was going to think the same, if the most disliked canonical arc in Bleach was going to be my favorite. But no, hell no. The Fullbring arc is the worst canonical arc in Bleach and at the bottom of the barrel for the original anime. It started off pretty decent, but it quickly fell down straight to hell. And for anyone wondering, the best arc in Bleach is probably the first arc. Literally just the first 20 episodes is probably the best section in all of Bleach. Everything else after is just filled with so many contradictions, plot holes, and issues. So many character mistakes and just mostly awful. Anyway, I'm finally done with the original anime. I shouldn't have done this. Bye.